Hi, everybody. Okay, let's see if I'm on. So, we are burning the midnight oil. It can't be helped because we're getting contact. I just want to let you know we were contacted through our hotline, and it's very important what is being exposed today. It's very important what's being exposed in El Paso right now. They are feeling the Trump effect. They're feeling the Trump effect. That's what they're doing. They're finally under the microscope. They're finally risking being held accountable for all of their criminal activities. And I'm talking about those that are involved in Richard's case in a very, very bad way, and in the Walmart mass shooting case, and in the organ harvesting, body trafficking, corpse trafficking, human trafficking, you name it, weapons trafficking, all of this, right? And this is absolutely connected to the funeral industry, the funeral operations, uh, the funeral industry there in El Paso. Absolutely. And also tied to the Mormon faction that's tied to the cartels. And the cartels are FTOs, y'all. They're FTOs. So this is really important. So let's get started.
Absolutely. And
Thank you,
also tied.
Anicia, for coming on. Um, So today is day 1,923 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss and taken to the arms room where we believe his life was taken from him there. We know his life was taken from him. It's just um, the without any expense and no protocols for bids and everything to have the arms room in his building totally renovated without any restraints on the costs of it, um, and the lack of transparency and everything, and having the seal on the door and other information that we have received, that is the crime scene. That's the crime scene. And it is a soundproof room, and his life was taken, and then his body was stolen. Now, we believe that this was um, a professional hit, okay? That it was a professional hit, and that they had thought this through. And we have, of course, hard evidence with Ray Velarde being the assigned counsel to Richard, being counterintelligence. That really uh, is, along with so much other information that we have and evidence that we have, uh, and that's just an example that shows you that this was premeditated, that this was all premeditated, and that Richard, of course, was whistleblowing, and they were trying to figure out what to do with him. But this was not their first rodeo, right? This was not their first time. They are absolutely FTOs, right? They bring terror. They bring terror, and other people have been hurt by them. Okay, other people have been hurt, um, and they have an infrastructure going on, and so they conspired together. They conspired together, and we have lots of evidence that corroborates uh, all of um, our position that we're making today here about what happened to our son. So, because James Courtney Hart works at the VA, worked in the VA, the IDS, Pablo, and others working in the VA, and then you have the funeral business, and then you have um, the CID, and then you have the FBI, and then you have um, the IG, and you just have a lot of infiltration, and it comes from a higher level there, and that higher level is Woody Hunt, um, is Paul Foster, is Alejandra de la Vega Foster. Those are, the uh, higher power brokers there that are up to no good. And so, when you have the big players in the cartel connected, like El Mayo, who was extradited to New York, um, and they're probably getting all kinds of information out of him, or, yeah, it would be very interesting why uh, why he was extradited to New York, right? Why not Florida, right? Why not? Um, yeah, it talks about the control of everything. So, uh, but a lot of information is coming out, and it really tells you. And this is so hard for me to talk about. So if I have pauses or stutter, because it is really emotional. It really is horrific to know that they took Richard's body, that they planned this, that they planned it, and they planned to monetize it to the highest level, um, for veterans' death benefits, for humanitarian aid benefits, for NGO humanitarian aid benefits. On the Mexican side, that explains the 3 autopsy reports. But it gets even more diabolical than just trafficking Richard and dumping him at the plenitude. This group, this funeral home mortuary group, um, and there has to be a lot of money involved in all of this for them to do it. They're not going to do it for, $8,000, right? They want more money than that. They're not going to risk everything, their licenses. They're risking everything. Right now, with Trump investigating all of this, they could lose their license, all their assets. The victims in Mexico right now, they have absolutely the right and the power to sue the hell out of Rafael Arellano Quran for all his assets in Texas. And he has a lot of assets in Texas. So, even that house next to Beto O'Rourke, right? Even this business, his mother's house is an LLC, right? His mother's house is with Kano. I wrote it down. Kano Still Inc. Kano Still Inc. I mean, he can, that all of that is up for grabs because of what he has done, and it gets worse than that. We believe that it gets worse than what has just been reported, and that is the organ harvesting. And I know a little bit about legal donations, and I've talked about it, I believe, once before. Um, and it was horrific then. It was horrific then to see someone that you love who wanted to donate. He wanted to donate, and um, and it was very hard. Uh, the thought of it, your loved one. Um, Maybe other people don't feel the way I feel, but it was very, very difficult. I didn't like it one bit. I had no say so in it. His skin off his back was taken. His corneas were taken. His kidneys were taken. His liver was taken. His pancreas was taken. His heart was not taken. And I'm thinking all the different things. I think that is it that I received notice for. That was done, and it gave me nightmares, absolutely nightmares. I was very young, gave me nightmares, and I didn't like it. But because uh, they weren't all taken at the same time, um, and well, I don't know uh, how that all worked, but the letters came in slowly. The letters for each one of those organs came in slowly. And so I know that there is a monetary worth of the skin of corneas. Corneas is a really big deal. That was, I think, the first thing they took from him was the skin and the corneas. And then, of course, kidneys and liver and pancreas. Um, Really all, and that was quite a few years ago. So when people come forward and they're part of this organ harvesting, and they see that La Diabla was arrested for organ harvesting and also baby harvesting with these illegal C-sections, that it's pretty bad when you see that, and then people finally recognize because the fog has lifted, right? And now Trump is president, and the fog has lifted, the fog of deception, of like total deception, and you still have those uh, bad actors trying to pull off their same deception on us. But we're not in that fog anymore, and so we can see it very clearly. And it's not working anymore. The deception is not working anymore, and uh, so we know if they're going to monetize for VA benefits, which is what, $500,000, probably more. The way they know how to squeeze everything out of the system, and then to have um, the organs being a big suspicion, a big suspicion. And it's because of Plenitude Crematorium. It's because of all of the people that we have on our list of notes, people that have harassed us and intimidated us. We tried to keep very calm, and it was a very good thing that we kept calm. Thank you, Laura, for coming on. Um, People get murdered if they try to sue in Mexico. Well, I think this is going to be a class action lawsuit. I think that this is going to be really, uh, a big change for Mexico. It's going to be a big change for Mexico, and I think that they can absolutely, in a class action lawsuit, go after. Um, and maybe I'm wrong about the class action, but I'm just saying that the conversations we're having is, I think that there are those in Mexico getting ready to sue. Okay. And that's really important in our case, because if there's discovery, whatever comes out of those cases is bound to give us information about our son's case. And so, and you might ask, why aren't you suing? We're getting there. We're getting there. We're making sure all of our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed, and we're getting there. We're getting very, very close. So, until today, I don't know where my mom's remains are, and her brother needed a kidney transplant back then. Um, yeah, that is, and she had Alzheimer's. Wow. Yeah. So, this is what we have to change. We have to change this kind of activity. You need to know where your mother's remains are, right? How can you have a Day of the Dead and then, have this kind of culture where they can just do whatever they want with the dead? Um, All Saints Day, we call it All Saints Day. Mexico, they call it the Day of the Dead. Uh, you know, eh, that's a day to respect. Go there to the grave, clean up the grave, bring a candle, light a candle, bring some flowers, say some prayers, sprinkle holy water on the site. This is very, very important, right? Very, very important. And so, if you don't have the body, if you don't know where the body is, it's really sacrilegious, right? Unless they, flew and went down in an ocean or something like this, right? That is a terrible circumstance that cannot be changed. But this whole thing, what's going on with the funeral fraud industry there in Juarez and, well, I should say Chihuahua and Texas and in El Paso is really needs to be addressed, and that's what we're doing because you can't have a civilized society with trafficking and recycling corpses and committing sacrilege and doing the organ harvesting. Um, and did they do that to Richard? Well, with Tavita Nusa has surgical skills. He has trained surgical skills, and his brother is Solomon Nusa, um, over or um, mortuary operations. And we also uh, have the autopsy reports um, and that we're waiting for too more information on. Um, and absolutely, this organ trans or organ harvesting is absolutely a suspicion, right? It's absolutely a suspicion of what they more monetizing of Richard, from eyes to skin to kidney to heart to and whoever received Richard's heart is a very, very lucky person because but this is illegal, right? This is illegal, but this is why this is so difficult to do that to a U.S. Army soldier, to um, to do that to migrants coming up and um, and to exploit illegal migrants like this. There's picture after picture after picture on the web of migrants with scars with one kidney, right? With just one kidney. It's the exploitation is terrible because they're still standing in line. It's not like they got the 100,000 or $200,000, right? They're still standing in line with no kidney. Um, so, do we believe that there was motive to cash in, or are they all about money? Absolutely, they're all about money. You can watch them on there streams, or a lot of times they've taken a lot of things off, and you can tell they're all about the money. And I'm not against money at all. I'm just saying that, would they have motive to figure out a way to have they figured out a way? Yes, they already have figured out a way to conduct organ harvesting and sell those organs on the black market. They've already figured that out. So so yes, we believe that there is a huge possibility that organ harvesting and happened to Richard. Okay, we believe it happened to Richard. So all those people that there's just too many common denominators. All those people that bought his organs, believe me, they will pay for it. When things are done against God's grace, it will not be good for them. Amen. Amen on that. Thank you so much. So, yeah, we're following, we're following the trail. Okay, and that is these funeral homes, and more, and more. And let me see. Let me talk about the tunnel. Of course, breaking news: a tunnel was discovered. Now, there was a tunnel discovered in January also, and we don't know where it went to. We know it went to El Paso, but we don't know where it went to. If it came up in a school, if it came up somewhere else, we don't know where. They never showed where it went to, and we've been waiting. We've been absolutely waiting, and now we have Erica Kirk's sisters, joining, um, and yeah, let's just say it's all corroborated that all these things are in place with Houston. There's connections with Houston, with all of this um, organ harvesting, with San Antonio organ harvesting. I think it's also with William Beaumont and Texas Tech University Health Science Center. I really believe so, that it's with them too, because the infiltration is obviously there. So thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for all your messages. And, this whole thing with the tunnels. Where is the end tunnel? Why aren't they showing it? And this just proves that President Trump is finding the tunnels. President Trump is absolutely gearing this group to take the assets of Arliano Caron through legal means, of and he has a lot of faults, yeah, of all his faults, right? So this is really important information. And I just want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. And we will be back tomorrow, God willing. Oh, there's one other thing that I wanted to tell everybody. That's so hard, I just said I believe they took forced um, organ harvesting from our son. Can you believe it? That they set that up, that they were um, that they conspired to do it, and they did it. But also, Richard asked for a transfer. Richard asked to be deployed again. He asked for a transfer. He asked to be deployed. Anything to get him away from Fort Bliss, okay? Anything to get him away from Fort Bliss and El Paso. He put in a transfer request. He absolutely wanted out of there. And he even told me that. He even told me he wanted out of there. So that's really important in all of this, that he feared for his life. And I know he did. He feared for his life. So thank you so much. God bless you. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing.